But then, going into the way to trim the sail, regardless that is a spinnaker or a gennaker, what you want is to let him braid. Never over trim. And which is the indication that the gennaker is braiding? Is this. This little or big fold. So the laugh must be always moving. If you have a fixed laugh, you are in the over trim area. So immediately is. Regardless if it's light wind or strong wind, you want to have always the downwind sail braiding. We call it braiding, but it's having. On some sails there are the telltales that are somehow anticipating you that the flapping is coming, but still, honestly, there is not really a need of the telltales because you really want to see the movement of the sail. And here it comes a bit the design of the sail, because there are sails that have a nice entry that is normally a nice entry is also forgiving. That means that even if you get this becoming bigger and bigger, it is very, the gennaker is completely collapsing very lately. You have a lot of time to recover it by trimming. There are sails with a very straight entry, and these sails are theoretically and potentially performing better, but practically not, because they are super critical, and as soon as they start moving, they are immediately ready to collapse completely. And so, practically speaking, in order to have it all the time full, you need to sail all the time over trim. And so something that theoretically is better, practically is worse, because you cannot really make it braiding. So nice sails allow you to let it braid without, especially this become even more critical when there are waves and you have to start playing a bit with the waves. And so the trimmer with the flat entry gennaker in waves, the trimmer gets crazy. In, out, long time. So also who is winching, whatever it is, will be annoyed. Where a nice stable sails will need just a little adjustment and that's it. It's forgiving. But the forgiving becomes fast. Any questions so far?
In this situation, what was the purpose of the Jeep having the gennaker?
What about the mainsail? Because also the mainsail has its own importance. Even the boats that have a very small mainsail and a very big gennaker or spinnaker, still the mainsail is important. And usually there is the tendency to forget about the mainsail downwind and concentrate all the effort in the downwind sail. It is wrong. Yes, it is not the most important sails, and that's why the main trimmer make a step back, but still the main trimmer cannot slip downwind. And as we know, the mainsail is the sail where we have more tools to change its shape. And in some boats there are many tools. I took this picture that is a very old one, just to tell you a little story, this is the America's Cup of '87. I was young. And on this boat, these were very heavy and slow boat. And to go downwind, apart from the spinnaker, we were really trying to have the mainsail as full as possible, because it's still a very big mainsail. And on these boats, you can see here, we had all this part, we had a zipper that we could open and close from upwind to downwind. But not only here, we had a zipper. You see that this big hole is because we were opening also a zipper on the luff. We had a zipper that was going up to the forestay, and we were increasing the size of the mainsail this much. So going downwind, the mainsail was becoming the second spinnaker. But of course, this is an extreme, is a story. But this is when the message is, try to make your mainsail as full as possible. And here you have three tools. Outhaul, I told you this morning. Downwind, yes, I want to use the outhaul. For sure, I don't want to have the Cunningham on. And if I still have some tension in the luff, I have to drop the halyard, or if I have a floating tack, I can raise the floating tack. But for sure, I want to have wrinkles on the luff, because downwind, as far back I can get the luff, the better it is. More circular shape is more spinnaker or gennaker shape. So I for sure don't want that. And the next, that is the only one, let's say that the first thing I do as a main trimmer, as soon as we bear away, I use vang and outhaul as much as I can. Sorry, not vang, Cunningham and outhaul, and eventually halyard, in order to get it loose. The only thing that I will be trimming downwind, apart the sheet, is the vang. The vang I should be playing with. And normally I want to get it as eased as possible, in order to not being too close. But this is changing between spinnaker and gennaker, because when I am with spinnaker, I am again into the pushing mode, so I can have a bit more vang. I don't care about the stall, I really care about having the sail, the maximum exposure of the sail to the wind. With the spinnaker downwind, what I want is to expose the sail to the wind as much as I can. That's why we are squaring the pole, is to get the spinnaker outside of the mainsail in order to have as much area possible. You imagine, if I have the same wind, this window will push X kilograms. If I add that window, it's double kilograms. So it's just a matter of having as much area exposed as possible. So when I am with the spinnaker, I'm happy to have the vang quite tight in order not to have the mainsail going forward. I really want to have the mainsail exposed to the wind. When we go into gennaker and we go back into the flow thing, I still need to take care that I'm not over trimming the vang, because I will close and stall the mainsail. So I want to see the telltale flying. And if the wind will increase, I will progressively ease the vang up to having it completely off, in order to avoid the boat from broaching, because in the picture before there is the risk of broaching. If you hit a bad wave or a big puff, so the vang here is already quite eased. You see how the mainsail behave here. This means that they have almost zero vang, because If you have some vang, the first part that goes under tension is this one, and then progressively to the top. This means zero vang. So this part is almost with no pressure. So I can end up having zero vang, completely loose, from the high range up to having the vang pulling the leech down until the telltale start collapsing. And so, as a main trimmer, I take care to have the main as full as possible, and then the next thing I do is simply easing it until I see some sort of vacuum here, normally, and then I trim it back. He's continuously attempting, especially in medium light wind. When it's strong, it's difficult to have the backwind. You go more into the feeling of the boat, but when it's light, you just look at the mainsail here, and when it's making the bubble, means that you use too much and you trim back again. And in light wind, it's just a game of playing in that area. Normally, the trimmer calls pressure going down by bow up, and so I will have to trim also a bit of mainsail and vice versa. And this job in medium light and flat water is quite boring, and you feel almost useless, but you are not. But it doesn't give you a lot of reward. The reward comes when the wind increases, and especially when the waves comes.